Hey guys, so today we're going to be taking a rose gold ring that I have and we're going to be trying to cupel it down to somewhere more pure gold, hopefully close to 24 karat, but we can't cupel everything out of there like the silver. So we're going to shoot for probably, 90-95% purity. So let's go ahead, go inside, and I'll show you the ring we're talking about, and I'll kind of talk you through what we're going to do today. Okay, so this is kind of the general setup of what we're going to do. So we have got this 14 karat rose gold ring here. And then we're going to take that and we're going to put it in this thing. This is called a cupel. What this does is this is basically bone ash, and it absorbs metal oxides. So when this melts, the copper will start to oxidize from the oxygen in the air, and that'll get absorbed into this cupel. And that is what will purify the gold. Is gold doesn't oxidize because it is a noble metal, or not, yeah, but it doesn't oxidize. So all the copper will be oxidized and absorbed into the cupel, and the gold and silver and anything that doesn't oxidize will be left on top. But in order to help oxidize this away easier, we're going to add some lead. This is a bunch of lead that I've actually collected gold panning, so that'll help. And then that lead also oxidizes with the oxygen, and it alloys with the copper and the gold, and it just helps the copper be absorbed into the cupel more. And you can kind of see here on this cupel, if we get it to focus a little bit better, this black ring around this lead button here, that is the oxide that has been absorbed into the cupel. So by the time that is all done, we should be left with a bright, shiny yellow bead of gold. So let's go ahead, get a weight on this, and then we can do some calculations to figure out how much yellow gold we should get out of this 14 karat rose gold ring. So we're going to take our gold ring and we're going to go ahead and put this on our little scale. It's showing 1.37 grams. Now that is 1.37 grams of 14 karat gold. In order to calculate how much pure gold there is, we're going to have to do a little bit of math. And don't worry, the math isn't that hard. I'll make it simpler than your 8th grade math class. So over here, in order to get the amount of pure gold, we have to take our percentage of 14 karat and divide it by 24. So we have 14 divided by 24 being pure gold, and that gives us 0.583. That is 58.3% pure gold inside that 14 karat ring. Then we take that 0.583 and we multiply that by the weight of our ring, and that should give us 0.799 grams of 24 karat gold. So basically 0.8 grams of 24 karat gold inside of our little ring. So now let's go ahead and heat up the furnace and we'll see if this melts with the lead. Here's the setup I've got going. I've got the cupel with the lead and the gold inside my little furnace foundry thing over here, which runs to my burner, which over there is propane. And it is pretty cold, so hopefully the propane tank doesn't get too cold and lose a lot of pressure. But there's one concern I have is most times I've seen people cupel stuff, they're doing it in electric furnaces, which means none of the oxygen is being burned up with the reaction of the fuel. Instead, it's just being used to heat up the metal and oxidize it. So I don't know how well this is going to work with propane. I've seen it done before on Dan Hurd's video one time, but we're going to go ahead, light this up, and get it going. One thing though, copper is supposed to be super hard to cupel away, so you've got to use a lot of lead, and I've got extra lead and extra cupels if we need. It's supposed to be really difficult, but we're going to give it a try and see if we can get some shiny yellow gold. So let's go ahead, light this up, and get her started. Okay, so right now we've got it running at about 8 psi. I'm going to get it lighted. And there she goes. I'm going to put the lid on and let it start to melt. So I put the lid on and we bumped it up to 10 psi, and you can see in there it's just barely starting to get warm. I'll kind of keep the camera on it in hopes that we can see the lead and the gold melt. You can already see the lead start to melt, and the gold should alloy with the lead. Okay, so I've bumped the pressure up to about 15 psi, and if you look in there, you can see the lead's fully melted, and I'm pretty sure the gold has alloyed with it. And here soon, we should hopefully be able to see lead oxide droplets rolling off into the cupel. And these are actually magnesia cupels, not bone ash. There's a difference. I don't know what it is, but these ones are magnesia cupels. Okay, this lead is doing something real weird I've never seen it do on other videos. You can see it, it's like it bubbles. Every now and again it like burps. It's kind of weird. I don't know if it's just, I don't know what it is, but it like is moving in there, and it's not from the gas. It's really weird. It's like it's bubbling out. Very odd. It's been about 20 minutes, and you can see down there that the amount of lead has gotten smaller. It's just not as little as I was hoping. So I think I'm going to turn the PSI down a little bit to try and save some propane, and then I'm just going to wait for a while. It's kind of hard to tell on the camera, but there is a slight ring of the oxidation being absorbed into the magnesia cupel. Yeah, you can see it right there, that like different colored part of the cupel. That's where all the oxides are being absorbed. So it's been about 45 minutes, maybe 30, 45, and we still haven't made progress as I was hoping. So we're gonna go ahead, turn it off for a sec, and look at it and see what's going on. You can see it's cooled down a lot, and we definitely used up the whole cupel, but it is just taking forever, and I wonder if I'm just not oxygen in there. Quick camera. As you can see, as it cools down, you can actually see the oxides rolling off of there like little tear droplets, and it's not doing that when it's really hot. So I think we just don't have enough oxygen getting to it, so I might leave the lid off and see if that fixes it. Okay, now that we've taken the lid off, you can see all those oxides down there. They're rolling off a lot faster. You can actually see them dancing around. That's pretty sweet. I think we just needed more oxygen, so taking the lid off should help. So it's been about an hour and a half since I've started, and you can see the bead is much, much smaller. The oxides just froze over, and we're gonna take a look at it right now. Just turn it off so I could talk a little bit better. We're getting pretty close to the end, I think. So just wanted to show you an update, kind of show you how long it's taken. It's taken about twice as long as I thought it would. I think a lot of that is because I was having problems. So now that we've got those fixed out, we're gonna turn them back up, and it should hopefully be done soon. Whoa, did you see that? It just froze. So I was videoing it, and the bead froze over randomly, and now you can't really see down there. But I think it's still liquid. I don't know if we're running out of propane, but we can't hold a very high pressure, so we might run into an issue of heat. But we're gonna let it go for a little bit longer, and then if it won't melt, we'll just get a weight and see how much we actually purified the gold. Okay, so this is what we've got so far. It is clearly not shiny yellow gold. In fact, it is pretty oxidized and looks like a basic piece of crap. But we're going to see if we can pry it out of there with some needle nose, clean it up a little bit, and then get a weight. We're probably not going to finish this video until I make a different cupel furnace where more oxygen can get in, and where we hopefully don't use as much propane. So let's go ahead and pry this out, see what it looks like. Okay, so this is what it ended up looking like after we washed it off. We washed it off, we put it in a bit of muriatic acid, and you can see it's actually got a gold color. I'm pretty sure it's not super pure, but it's starting to get a gold color to it, and that's pretty sweet. I think we'll do one more round of cupellation. I'm gonna make a different furnace, a smaller one, more efficient, and then we will purify this to hopefully really good purity. But let's go put it on the scale and see what it weighs. Okay, now is the moment of truth. Let's go ahead and put it on the scale. 0.76, give it a tap. 0.75. So we've actually lost more weight than we should have, which means this either could have not been 14 karat gold, or it could have taken away some of the other stuff with it. It could have taken away some gold, or I did spill it one time looking at it, and I could have lost a little bit there. But we're actually getting pretty close to relatively pure gold. I think one more cupellation and we will be there. We'll probably end up going down to 0.7 grams, so we'll lose a little bit in our process. But I think that's pretty good, so I'll catch back up to you once we've finished the last cupellation. Okay, so here's the new setup. We've got just a smaller crucible with some smaller propane torches. We're gonna throw in our gold, throw in some extra lead, and then we're gonna go ahead, crack open some propane, and light it up. Okay, and then I've got this other little lid to throw on there while it heats up. Then we're just gonna let that cupel away. And I am using a new cupel. So we've got a nice shiny button of lead and gold in there. Now we're gonna go ahead and take this top one off so some oxygen can get to it and cupel it away, just like in the last one, just smaller. So you can see down there, the oxides are rolling off into the cupel, which is what we want. But we're still running into the problem that this isn't getting quite hot enough. Like, that whole thing should be rolling off oxides constantly, but you can see it'll freeze over and then melt and then freeze over and then melt. So I'm not sure how well this is gonna work, but we're just gonna leave it like this and come back maybe every 10 minutes and see how well it goes. Okay, so here's the problem I'm running into. If I take the lid off to get more oxygen in, it's too cold that it won't liquefy the oxides. But if I put the lid on, no oxygen gets in there. So what I'm gonna end up doing is taking this old arrow and blowing some air down there so it can oxidize while still being hot enough for the oxides to roll into the cupel. So a lot more labor intensive, but it'll get her done. Okay, so that's how small our bead is down there, and I think it's kind of froze over, so I think I'm gonna turn off the propane and show you what it looks like. Okay, this is before the acid cleaning it up. Okay, so this is what it looks like after the acid wash. Super golden color. Definitely a lot more pure now, but still I think there is a little bit of copper in there just because when it was done cupelling, you could see that oxide on the outside. So now, let's go ahead, get a weight on it, and see how much gold we lost. 0.63, and we've still got a little bit of copper or lead in there. So I think it's probably a 0.6. So let me do a little bit of math and figure out how much gold we lost, and yeah. Okay, so here's the math for how much of our gold we lost. So we ended up with 0.6 grams, and if we divide that by the expected amount of grams, that gives us 0.77. If we multiply that by 100, that gives us, we recovered 77% of the gold that we had based off of our previous calculations. So not too bad for a first time attempting to cupel something. So about 3/4 of a gram of gold is not too bad. It's not 24 karat, but it's probably right around between 22 and 23%. So that's pretty good. It's about $45 or almost $50 worth of gold. So that's pretty cool. Now that was a little lower than I was hoping. So I have two theories. Either I lost quite a bit of gold in the cupellation, which is a possibility because I don't know how much gold does oxidize if you've got a really strong oxidizer. So it could possibly have gone into the cupel, but it also, this ring could have been 10 karat gold instead of 14. I'm not sure. I didn't check the stamp before I cupelled it. So it very well could have been 10 karat instead of 14 karat, which means we would still have a couple percent more lead or silver or copper in here. So overall, I think it went pretty well. If you guys like the video, leave it a thumbs up, let me know. I'm going to do more gold melting stuff in the future. I thought this was pretty fun. It was a bit of a longer video, but there's a lot to explain and a lot to do. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.